social, economic, and political life of the population. The inhabitants of a police state experience restrictions on their mobility, and we're going to hit that real hard, mobility, and on their freedom to express or communicate political or other views. So let's take a look at that.
This area is off limits! Go back! It's dangerous! This area is off limits!
People in the crowds have mostly been behaving, but 5 men are now in custody for allegedly planning to cause damage or violence in the city during the NATO summit.
Okay, you guys heard what he said. This is CNN. He's talking about 5 people who were allegedly, no real proof, allegedly thinking about causing some damage at the NATO summit. So I know they have crowd control, but I just want you to take into account the sheer number of police who came out to contain potentially 5 guys.
I see the state police there as well as
all these guys over here, and this is just the people in this screenshot. And I know there's a massive crowd of people, but still for 5 people, that's, you know, a bit excessive.
The CPD, the Chicago Police Department. Our CNN cameras rolled when a Chicago police van drove through a loud but peaceful crowd of protesters last night. At least 1 person was hurt. No comment from the CPD on why the van's driver chose to go through that mass of people.
We've got a bunch of peaceful protesters here, and they spent millions and millions of dollars for this week.
You guys from Tulsa, you can't see it right there, but
Alone. I mean, it's absolutely absurd.
So now we're going to move on to a part, continuing with the police state kind of here. The Army is operating domestically within their country, in which I'm not too up on Japanese politics, but the Army really is supposed to be operating on our streets here in America, so let's take a look at this.
It's Army helicopters! It's the Army!
You may have noticed today the Tampa Convention Center and the Harbor Island Bridge were overtaken as part of an unusual military exercise.
An Osprey aircraft flying by Tampa General Hospital and special forces jumping out of this helicopter.
Doing this for the public is a very powerful thing because it lets our common enemies know that if they mess with one of us, they're going to have to answer to all of us.
Now, 10 different countries participated in that drill earlier today. They have all done that in active combat.
Okay, this is an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence, and this is when they're referring to King George here. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. So that's kind of what we see here. The military isn't supposed to operate domestically here in the States.
So, the Army's working with the police to hunt down anti-government groups, or so it seemed.
Okay. Now, when I was talking about this stuff, I'm not anti-government, I'm not anti-military, but your police and your military are supposed to uphold the Constitution, so I'm just pointing out constitutional violations. I'm not anti-military government or anything like that. Okay, so this is the Posse Comitatus Act. In the United States, a federal statute known as the Posse Comitatus Act forbids the use of the United States military and through its offspring, the United States Air Force, as Posse Comitatus or for law enforcement purposes, which is to say your military is not supposed to be your police. And it also includes the Navy and the Marine Corps.
Long live the Freedom Revolution!
Okay, that reminded me a whole lot of the underwear bomber. You guys remember that scenario? This guy sneaks onto a plane with a defective bomb and it doesn't go too well for him. So here's a clip of that.
When all of this went down, I know that this man with the suspect was tackled pretty quickly by other passengers. Kurt and Lori, you were actually not too far, only a number of rows behind all of them. Was there anything else that you noticed?
Yeah, everything happened, it seemed like in less than a minute. We saw smoke. We then saw flames going up the side of the plane near the seat where he was sitting. At that point, 2 people, one from behind him and one from the side of him, tackled him to the ground, and that's pretty much the last time we saw him.
Okay, so that's the story of the underwear bomber. The couple that was in the clip was actually on the plane, and this is something you may not have heard. This is their story of what actually happened that day on the plane.
The U.S. government escorted him through security without a passport, and we believe gave him an intentionally defective bomb. It was intentional that it went this far to further the war on terror, to get body scanners in the airports, to increase the TSA's budget, to renew the Patriot Act, and whatever other reasons you want to list.
So regardless of whether you agree with his view or not, that's somebody who was actually on the plane, and that's something that was new to me when I first discovered it. Okay, so we'll continue on here in the story.
Hey, hold on a second, old man. Old man? What was that? You listen here, kid. I'm only 25 years old. I'm not even married yet.
So to me, that guy looks a day or two older than 25. But there's something that's in a lot of people's foods. If you guys have a water bottle, it's probably in your water bottle right now. I see which Pepsi bottle. It's called BPA, or bisphenol A is the technical term, but BPA is what you hear about on the news. So here's a clip of that.
The compound bisphenol A, BPA, disrupts the hormonal system, causes infertility and even cancer. But governments didn't warn about the dangers of BPA, widely used in plastic bottles, food cans, and soda cans, until only a few years ago. Research conducted at top institutes like Harvard and Yale found that BPA has widespread effects, including neurological, thyroid, and dopaminergic issues, obesity, as well as low weight, fetal development, carcinogenic effects, including breast and prostate cancer. Its impact on hormones in both men and women can negatively affect the reproductive and sexual system. Studies on lab animals, including primates, found permanent changes to the genital tract, changes in breast tissue predisposing to carcinogens, long-term reproductive and carcinogenic effects, increased prostate weight, early onset of puberty.
So those are all symptoms of BPA over intake. You heard the gentleman talk about, well, that's Aaron Dykes, talk about early onset of puberty. So we see this article here from Infowars.com. Age 10, the new norm for puberty in girls thanks to chemicals like BPA. We'll read an excerpt from the article. The toxic BPA is featured in the vast majority of plastics used commercially today, Pepsi bottle. This chemical has the property of mimicking estrogen when leached into the body, and we'll find out the significance of that here. PhD.
Breast Cancer Fund tested popular canned food items marketed to kids and found that every single one contained BPA. The highest levels were found in Campbell's Disney Princess and Campbell's Toy Story soups. BPA is a chemical found in the lining of food cans. It migrates, though, from the can into the food, so that when we eat the food, it gets into our bodies. BPA is considered an endocrine disrupting chemical because of its effects on the body's hormone systems. Laboratory studies raise concerns that BPA might cause breast cancer, as well as prostate cancer, infertility, early puberty in girls, obesity, diabetes, and ADHD. Exposure to BPA in childhood is of particular concern. Growing kids aren't just little adults. They actually consume more food per pound of body weight, and their body systems are developing rapidly and much more vulnerable to the effects of hormones and hormone-like substances such as BPA than adults.
So there you go, there's BPA pretty much in everything. And people ask, like, what can you do to stay away from it? It's in almost any kind of container, food container. There's unless it says BPA free, which some stuff does, it probably has BPA in it. So if you have an idea of how to stay away from it, good luck. All right. So the next clip we have, we're going to look at here, go back to the film of some gentlemen who have somewhat of a God complex, where they're trying to create, the Superman, I guess you would call it. And we're going to roll straight into some clips. Now, when I show these clips, I'm not saying I agree with these people. I'm just telling you what their plan is and what they are trying to do. So we'll just roll straight in here to the clips.
But maybe we weren't meant to meddle with that ultimate power.
You mean the power of a god?
We have no choice but to grasp that power. Grasp that power and learn to control it.
Ray Kurzweil is an American inventor, author, and futurist.
We will match human intelligence and go beyond it by 2029. By 2045, this artificial intelligence we're creating, which is really part of our civilization. It's not some invasion from Mars. We're already deeply integrated with it. This is not inside my body, but may as well be, because it really is part of who I am. This will go inside us. It will make us 1 billion times smarter by 2045, according to my calculation.
You notice what the guy said. He didn't say inside me, I want to put technology inside me. He said inside us. So we're going to move on to this guy's organization. It's called GF245. We'll take a look at that.
Main aim of the Congress is to discuss how to evolve, how can our physical body evolve and how can consciousness evolve. It is very important because now we're facing the time where unconscious evolution period has almost finished. And we come to the new era when new period of controlled human evolution can happen.
Okay, now whether you believe in evolution or not, this guy says he wants to artificially evolve people, i.e. technology. And this guy's not talking about, heart defibrillators and, pacemakers and stuff like that. These guys are talking about. I mean, I could tell it to you, but you really wouldn't believe me unless you go to this site and listen to these guys say it for themselves. Like, they're really trying to make cyborgs. Now, I know that's far-fetched and kooky, but that's not what I believe. This is what these guys are trying to do. So I encourage anybody who's a little skeptical to check out this site, gf245.com, and these guys are really into this stuff, all right? But that's them, that's not me, that's what they're doing. Okay, so we'll move on here to our next clip.
This area is being warded off due to a terrorist bombing. Those who wish to get through, line up single file, present your ID, and proceed through the checkpoint.
Okay, so we see, terrorism is pretty rampant in this future world, which I guess it is in ours as well. And one of the things they have is domestic checkpoints. You heard the guy say, line up in a single file line and present your ID to be checked out. And you may say, okay, there's a terrorist bombing, maybe they do need, checkpoints for that. Even if that is your argument, I'm gonna show you this clip of people just being stopped for no reason. So here we go.
This is where a man refuses to comply with internal checkpoints. Border Patrol agents, they set up a network of unconstitutional checkpoints all over the United States.
How you doing today, sir?
Good.
You a U.S. citizen?
That's my business.
Well, it's our business to ask. Are you a U.S. citizen or?
You can ask, that's fine.
And you have to answer me, or I'll have to detain you until you can either tell me if you're
Well, I don't have to answer you because I have rights as an American.
Sir, go ahead and pull over there behind that other vehicle. You do me a favor?
No thanks. I'd like to just go on my way.
You can go on your way as soon as you tell me if you're a U.S. citizen.
Well, I didn't know that I have to go around proving that I'm a citizen. Do I need to show my papers like the Nazis or? I'm not. Am I immigrating somewhere or? Is this Mexico or? Huh? Well, let me ask you this. Is this Nazi Germany now? I have to show my papers?
It's a simple yes or no. You can either answer it or we can detain you here until we figure out whether you're a U.S. citizen.
Well, what's more simple is the fact that my freedom is a little more important than you seem to think. And that, setting up checkpoints where people have to prove that they're a citizen is not something that America is supposed to be about. So I'm not sure if you understand that.
He doesn't want to tell me a citizen.
Well, I'm just driving down the road here and I've been stopped for some reason and I'm, supposed to, no thank you.
I want you to pull up secondary, sir.
No thanks. I want to go free on my way. I'm, here I am just going about my own business and, I don't need to stop at a checkpoint where I have to prove who I am because this is America. And correct me if I'm wrong, did I stumble into Mexico or is it still the United States? Okay, well then therefore I should have the freedom to travel unmolested because I'm in America here. So,
Go ahead, go.
Go ahead and go where?
Going on the road.
Okay, see you later.
If more people would just follow that example by simply standing up for their rights and refusing to obey unconstitutional demands, freedom might still be salvaged in this country.
So you guys see this man exercising his constitutional rights. You heard him talk about the Fourth Amendment. This is the Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So which is to say they can't just set up a checkpoint and ask you for your ID just, because what if they got it, well, you're not supposed to drive without your ID, but let's say you're walking down the street and you didn't have your ID, what's gonna happen to you then? So just be aware of that. And we'll switch back here in the movie now. One of the psychic kids has kind of gone crazy, and we'll take a look at what he's up to.
You thought you could kill me? Now I'm gonna kill you. Aim! Fire!
This is a very strange movie for anybody who hasn't seen it. Okay, so the kid, goes crazy, tries to kill people, so the government said, okay, we can't have this kid around anymore, so we're gonna try to take him out. And we're about to get to the title of the film, why the film's actually titled Akira. And you guys in the hall can come in if you want to come in, I'll see you standing. You're welcome. Okay, all right, whatever.
What the hell is this?
That is Akira before you, Tetsuo. That's the Akira you wanted to meet. There is your Messiah, the chosen one that you've been looking for.
Not long after his transcendental awakening, his organs and tissues were subjected to every test known to modern science. He's dead. That's it. What you see now lying there is all that's left of him.
So that's Akira. I was a little disappointed when I watched the movie. So the explosion we saw at the beginning of the movie, that's actually caused by Akira. Akira was one of the original psychic kids who just became too powerful and blew up the city. So they couldn't have that, so they killed him, and they froze his organs so they could, work with him another time, try to harvest his cells or whatever. So we'll move here into some cryogenics.
Greg Fahey is a cryobiologist. The goal of his team at biotech outfit 21st Century Medicine is to freeze human organs and tissues so that they can be revived undamaged centuries from now.
Cryopreservation is the preservation of living systems at very low temperatures. We usually are referring to temperatures that are low enough that you can store the system as long as you wish before you use it again. Cryopreservation is essential to get a cell or a tissue and organ from one place in time to another place in time without allowing that system to change in the process. The biggest problem, we think, is really mechanical. It's the formation of ice between cells. If the cells are dislodged from their normal locations, then you can destroy the function of that structure as a whole, even if the cells survive.
Greg and his team decided to focus their efforts on preventing bodily fluids from freezing, and eventually developed a way to turn those fluids into a form of biological glass, a technique he calls vitrification.
Vitrification is the formation of the glass. So if you take water and you mix it with various chemicals in high enough concentrations of chemical, and then cool it down to low temperatures, the system will never freeze no matter how low you go.
So there you go, all you skeptics who said Captain America couldn't be frozen and brought back to life. Okay, so we'll go on here with a space program they're working on in the film. The kid has got way too powerful, and they're just going to pretty much nuke him from space.
Where's this light coming from?
Hard to tell. Too close to the impact point. The monitors are getting too much
Prepare a second volley now!
Okay, so this is a look at the Star Wars program that some of you older people may know, but it now is called the Strategic Defense Initiative. The Strategic Defense Initiative was proposed by U.S. President Ronald Reagan on March 23, 1983, to use ground and space-based systems to protect the United States from attack by strategic nuclear ballistic missiles. And as to date, nobody's proven that they have something as powerful as what's shown in the movie, but it is being worked on. And we've come now to the end of the movie. This will be the last. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. It does end like that. It just cuts off pretty much. The main kid who went crazy and started killing everybody, the other kids teamed up and created another pretty much bomb to kill the one kid, and that's the end of the movie. I thought it ended pretty abruptly, but that's what it is. So my battery's almost dead, but on my camera. But does anybody have any questions about the film or any comments? Okay, well, I thank everybody for coming out. This is Fact Behind the Fiction. You can find me on Fact Behind the Fiction, just one big long word, on YouTube and also on Infowars.com. Thanks everybody for coming out.
Just gotta stay next to
Now. How you doing, sir? Sure.
Yeah. Let's go on. I won't. I'm not done. Okay. You're all right. I'm just walking.
Well, I should have said that.
No, I
things like your National Guard,
Either
that's fine, but as far as like
missed
the
that,
helicopters and stuff, they're not supposed to operate. Maybe my dad can explain, he's in the military. But he was asking me about the military operating domestically.
Yeah, like he said that they're not supposed to. I asked like
they train in case of terrorist attacks. That's the reason for going in. That's what they said. That's the coverage for going in. They're not actually interfering, but just in case if the police need backup, they're right there. They're trained to be there.
Thanks for your question, sir.
No, just looking at my schedule.
Okay. Thanks, John. I'll be up there and meet you guys in a second.
Okay. I would have tried to be here for the whole thing, but my brother still hasn't appeared and he has my lunch money.
Oh, that's all right.
I kept looking for those batteries in the house.
They're in the bag. Yeah, bag is sitting there.
I thought there was a guy sitting in that bag.
Did the battery last?
Yeah, I cut it off, cut it back on a couple times.
Yeah.
I recorded most of it, so if it is messed up, I could give you mine.
Oh, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, the military they're not really supposed to operate, because even with that scene you saw them jump out of helicopters, they have giant military bases they can train on. And the thing about it is they're not supposed to operate domestically into the point where your police are really supposed to protect you here domestically. I know there are certain circumstances where,
They can't call them in like they did in LA with Rodney King riots. Those actual guys who've been fought in the war in Iraq and came back.
Oh,
So
okay.
they can't, if they want to, if the police